how much of this should be a piece of the conversation for the upcoming 24-25 campaign? Should it be at all? Because as good as he is, he's naturally going to be in the discussion. They're going to be at the top of the Eastern Conference. They're going to have a lot of wins. They're going to presumably get over 50 wins. And with that, the best player is going to be in the mix of conversation of what his name, where his name should be with the other best players in the NBA of the most valuable player. But should he care anymore? Should you care anymore? Should that be a point of emphasis for him to go into the season as a goal of his to win it again? Or should he just not worry about it anymore? The 65-game threshold in the NBA where they changed the rule, that's a big piece of it. If he's not going to make it to those games, and Kyle will get to at one point about that in a little bit, then he's not going to be there at all anyway. But can they win with him not focusing on that type of MVP performance to get them to where they and he want to be and advancing past that second round and even further when we talk about the NBA Finals? Should it be? Can he be? What does that look like? That's something we wanted to talk about here today with you all. Kyle, what does that look like? Should it be there? And what does that type of season mean for Joel Embiid?
Thank you to Bet365 for this, but if taking a look at it, Joel currently sitting tied for fourth with Giannis at plus 600, Jokic at the top, Luka right behind him, Shea in third at plus 500. To me, those look, relatively sensible from where we're sitting. Yep. And Joel priced in a way that says he is among the front runners, the favorites yet again. And so what I'd say to you, Devon, to that question is that it's all contextual, right? Like if you're asking a Sixers fan, should they care about NBA MVP? The answer is kind of, but certainly not at the expense of the bigger goals, the championship, the playoff team success is what everyone cares about. You care about the MVP insofar as it's a reflection of Joel's playing really well, the team is playing really well, and he's healthy enough to play in the amount of games it requires to be in the mix for MVP. If he plays 65 plus games, if they're in contention for a top 2 seed in the East, and he's hitting whatever stat thresholds he needs to hit, if it's 30, 10, and 4, if it's, we talk about the decrease in scoring we might want to see, if it was down to like 25 and let's say he goes crazy rebounding, gets 15 rebounds a game, and his defense improves. All MVP is about, as it relates to Joel Embiid, is basically being healthy to me, because he will put up the stats. They will win games when he's on the floor. And so it really comes down to how many games is Joel Embiid going to play, and how much does he care about, and how much does the organization care about the regular season. And so some of what we've heard in the offseason from Joel, he mentioned this just in passing on Drew Hanlon's podcast in July, but said something to the effect of, look, like I think we're going to be pretty disciplined this season as it pertains to back-to-backs. I think the organization probably now feels that with Paul George in the fold, with, they prioritized Andre Drummond. Andre Drummond, I don't remember if this is, he was either the first or the second agreement they had, right? It was like him and Eric Gordon were the first 2 dominoes to fall. So Drummond being one of the first pieces that they said, we got to go out and get this guy. They used a little bit of cap space to get him. That said, not only do you need a capable backup for Joel when he's healthy and available, you need a guy who can be that innings eater player, a starting caliber center on nights Joel sits. And that to me says they are baking into their night-to-night plan, their season-long plan, that Joel will sit even if he is healthy, that there will be times where it's like, hey, we have Cleveland tonight and Milwaukee tomorrow, or we have a back-to-back against both the LA teams out on the West Coast. Joel's going to play in one of them, and that's it. And so I am preparing for a season more like that, where they treat him not quite where he was at early in his career, right? Where he's playing. He had like the 15-minute threshold, and then it was 20, and there were no back. I'm not saying that that's going to happen, But to me, I think they're all talking and acting as if they're going into the season with that type of plan. And I think that is the best thing for him, for the team. It's certainly not the best thing for, potentially winning MVP, but I think you're already starting to see the seeds planted for de-emphasize all that gun for the title or whatever your best chance is at winning a title. And so I think that's a refreshing shift after, look, he got his MVP award, right? Like that, nobody can ever take that away from him. He deserved it. I think I still want to see him play in a way that when he's on the floor, he is playing at that type of level, that competitive fire you see from a guy to go for that in the regular season, while also balancing the schedule and making sure that they're keeping his body in as pristine condition as they can prior to April, May, and June.
We all silly like the mayor.